Alrighty, and welcome everyone to another episode of Who's Got Clout here on Clout Forum with me, Mark Bentley from Perth, Western Australia, and our delightful co-host, Alex Roken, tuning in from over in Russia. And together, it is our pleasure to bring you some of the most amazing humans that are creating on DeSo. And today's guest is a very special Mr. Clay Perry. How you doing this morning, Clay?
How you doing, man? I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So before we get into conversation and start chatting, for those, I think most people watching this will have come across you at some point, Clay. But if you haven't met Clay before, Clay is an independent Fort Worth-based rapper who led the charge in the early days of BitClout. Now, Clay, you were a big part of my first kind of endeavor when I came into DeSo, one of the first crew that I really met and bonded with, and you really were, you really were like the BitClout preacher. You saw the vision, and that's what I resonated with you. You saw the vision. You brought through, the anthem, the music, the everything. You went all in, right? And these tattoos that few of us are bearing these days. It starts with you, man. It starts with you and the heart that you showed, bro. Yeah. So it's been a ride. How long's it been now? 8 months? 7 months?
Yeah, I'm losing track at this point. I guess I got on like March 28th. So yeah, actually I can pull up my exact, let's see what the exact date is.
Sweet. While you're pulling that up, Clay, anyone watching this live stream, you can jump in and join the conversation. Check out cloutforum.org. You'll see a link to either join us live. We've got Nashan here with us. Big love to you, brother. One of our favorite drummers on the platform. And also YouTube.
Shout out to Nashan.
What's up? So did you get the day there, Clay?
1 second. Just pulling it up right now. Shout out to Salil and Prosper Clout.
Hey, Salil. He's a beautiful man. You know,
I
Clay,
haven't
it's one
checked
of the
this
reasons.
in 235 days. So however many months that is. That's a lot of months.
235 days, man.
It's been a long
235.
time.
It's been a long time. It's a strange thing where it feels like it's been a days, but months, right? No years, but days at the same time. So you obviously
feels like I've
were
known Wendy forever.
well. Let's start there, man. Like for those that don't know, there's been the starstruck lovers from the other side of the planet that you two, Wendy, you met Wendy through Nacho Average and through DeSo, is that right? Through BitClout in the early days?
Technically, I met her right before that through Claudio, because she had hit me up to join Claudio, and then I had met her through that. I hadn't really talked to her much, so, and then she joined. I knew I wanted to make her. I don't know how I knew, other than just like fate. I don't know. Like I just knew like from day one that I wanted her to be the host of the Nacho Average call. And so I was like dead set. I was gonna ask her to be the host. Like before I ever even really like talked to her in person, I was just like, that's gonna be the host. If she's down, like then I'm gonna make her the host. And then the first time she hopped on the call, I asked her to be the host, and she accepted like immediately. Didn't know me. I don't know what. Like I just got lucky. I think I really honestly like caught her by surprise. And so, because like even going back when I've like joked and talked to her about it, like she didn't like have any expectation that I was going to ask her that, and she was kind of put on the spot in front of everyone, and so she just accepted, and so I got lucky in the way that I asked. But yes, from that point on, like I just talked to her every day.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That Nacho Average call, I mean, we've talked about a lot on the platform here with everyone that comes on, that so many of the people, even Alex with Clout Forum, it's like we met through you, through Nacho Average, through the call. It's been such a cauldron for so much creativity. So many projects have been birthed out of that space. And so how is it going now? Is it still going strong? I try to get in, but I got so busy with all the other bits and pieces. Now I just get once every few weeks, but I miss it.
Yeah, right now it's we're kind of going through, like for me this time of the year is a slow part of the year in general. The music industry kind of shuts down around this time of year. Everything just kind of goes on standstill, and so I've been trying to like figure out how, like I'm like in the new space I'm in, it's not the same as it was before, so we don't have to shut down necessarily around the holidays, but at the same time, like it's tough because you've got so many like family events and just different things going on that I'm still like, I feel like I'm swimming upstream trying to be active. Like this time of year, it's just really difficult. And so
Yeah.
I think like for me, right around like January, like that'll be the time that like things start really picking up again. Like we're not really doing any marketing. Things have been pretty slow for the most part, but we're not at the same time, like we expect that though. Like we're not really too concerned about it.
It's the natural kind of birthing contractions, right? There's the ebbs and flows, and there's that time. And you're right. I really feel as we come into Christmas, get so busy that it's even getting an audience, to be able to turn up and to witness. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like Wendy showing up here, like, we're just not very active right now. Like we're out sightseeing and showing her, all the different places over here. And so it just hasn't made sense, as much to be on the call lately.
So on that, Clay, so when Wendy arrived, what was it, last week, was it? Or how long ago is it now?
It's actually been, I think we're just now at 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Today would be 2 from like the day that I got to like meet her in person.
So for anyone who's watching this that might be watching on YouTube or something and isn't familiar with the background story. So, as we've talked about, you met Wendy on BitClout through the different things, and you guys created the Nacho Average space and really helped build community together. And so for the first time, you guys got to meet in person. So she was Sydney, right? New South Wales in Australia. And so you're over there in America. And so this is the first time 2 weeks ago that you guys actually met in person.
Yeah.
So how was that?
Yeah. So
how was that experience?
It's amazing, man. It's more than like, I guess like more than what was expected in a lot of ways. Like it was awesome. Like it, yeah, it's just without like sounding like a cornball. Like it was amazing. Like
calling it up, man.
It was really cool to just like the whole experience of meeting people in Miami. We realized really fast, like we built something like special in the DeSo community, but it wasn't just the DeSo community. Like that trip for me, it was realizing like how deep the connections were in Nacho Average, where it was like something about the video aspect, like talking to each other face to face, the amount of time that we'd spent together, like as people, like when we met, there was no trust building phase. Like there was no, I gotta get to know you. Like it was instant fun, like it was like showing up to a family reunion. You know, you're in a safe space with like a big group of people. I will say, like, I don't feel that Miami meetup had like a Nacho Average feel to it. The other ones that haven't been, where it's kind of a jambalaya, which all the meetups are kind of that. You notice the aspect too of people not being a part of the tribe, where you do have to build trust because I don't know you. I've never met you before. You're just, to me, a random person that, is about as random as any other human that I would, come in contact with. There's just trust that has to be built. With me and Wendy, it was like multiplied by 1,000,000. Like it was like, multiply it by whatever number you want. Like it was compounded. So it was wild. Like I never had that experience before. Since me and Wendy, like she watches, we started watching that 90 Day Fiance. And have you ever seen that show?
I haven't, no. You guys getting prepared?
I'd never seen it. Yeah, you learn a lot watching that show. And yeah, man, like it's just wild to see how distance can either like completely makes it or it will destroy it. And a lot of times watching that show, it destroys relationships. But something about the video call aspect and like just the way we did it, there was no trust building. There was no like awkwardness. Like even like just simple things like sitting next to each other and like holding hands or like something like that. Like it was just the most natural. It was bizarre how unweird it was. It was like weird how unweird it was. It was like there was no need. It was like it wasn't like meeting someone. Me and her knew each other. Like the second she got in the car with me, like even today I kind of made a comment about that where I'm like, you got in the car and rode with me. The second that she landed, we drove 18 hours, which we broke it up into 2 days, but like we drove 18 hours in 2 days to Florida. And
Damn.
so she instantly got in the car and like went to sleep. And I'm like, that's nuts. You've never met me in person before. You've like never ridden in the car with me. And yet we know each other that well that like you trust me to just drive an 18-hour trip. And like you've never seen me drive before. But like, my personality, like that's good enough. Like you trust me. And like it's really wild how I'm like, it's simple. I'm like, but even simple stuff like that, I'm like, it shows how much we trust each other. Because if I got in the car with someone, with her though, it'd be the same way. I mean, I would just hop in with her. I know who she is.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's awesome to hear because it's like, it can go either way. With so many times when people meet from a distance, they come together and it's one thing is how you hold yourself. But I think what you're speaking to here really demonstrates something that I'm seeing happen on DeSo in all its forms is when you're united by a vision, right? When you're united by something deeper. And I think faith has done that in the past. Faith in different religions has created those bonds, faith in, music, faith, different kind of devotions to something. Whereas to see you two you share a powerful vision together. You share something really powerful that is amazing to have that period before you met. I often think, Clay, it's in the modern day, it's so easy just to meet someone. Next thing you know, it's easy to sleep with them the same night, same week or whatever. And it's like, and then all of a sudden you get lost in those emotional politics and things before you've even had a chance to get to know each other. Whereas because you two are kept at a nice distance, that would have created an amazing environment to me. Like, no, you can't go get lost in each other yet, but you can really get to explore each other. So that's so beautiful, man, to hear that it landed well.
Yeah, I would tell her that all the time during the moment where I'd be like, I could kind of notice that early on where I'd be like, in the beginning, I'd be like, we'll try it. We're gonna try to get to each other as soon as we can, but just foreshadowing the future. It's like if the government shut down and all of these things continue to keep us apart, we wouldn't choose this, but it may be ideal. And then like now in hindsight, that's, the way we talk about it is like, we would have never chose that. But at the same time, look at what it did for us to where, sometimes getting what you want so quick doesn't work out for you. And we were able to really, establish a foundation and like really get to know each other and care about each other without anything, superficial. Like, I mean, it was definitely, it was a really cool way to get to know someone.
Absolutely, man. Hey, from the outside, it was fun to watch.
I would suggest, it's funny because a lot of people wouldn't suggest long distance. And I mean, ideally, obviously, like, you don't want to, it's hard because you don't know if you're going to be able to pull it off. Like in some situations, it takes a lot longer than even it took us. But yeah, it's definitely a cool way to get to know someone because it's like you said, you're forced to really get to know them instead of just getting what you want. Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So I mean, you've brought so many firsts to the platform. The BitClout song was a banger that was, I had that cranking in my car plenty of times. It's been so much fun to see all the different things that's brought, romance to the platform. And I say romance, not just from a star-crossed lovers kind of romance, but like life should be romantic, right? It's like bringing it alive, and you've really contributed a lot. So what I've been super keen to chat with you about, Clay, is where you're at now. Because you and I, we haven't had a chance to chat. Often we had a lot of time in the very beginning, and then we both got so caught in all our different projects and things and out and about. So I haven't had a chance to really just sit and chat and hang out. So tell me, what are you up to these days with DeSo, with everything, with your music?
The biggest things right now that I'm into is just like understanding this this VR like space and everything that's to come in that. I just got me and Wendy both just got Oculus headsets, the Quest 2s, and so we've been playing a lot in VR chat. We're trying to, I think, like short term, like the plan is going to be we're not going to move, like there will still be a Nacho average call, but like we're going to start trying to, I guess you could say, like experimentally, like the first call outside of the Nacho average call will be in VR chat. So like the second call will be over there. It's sweet because, as far as like still being on Zoom right now, we don't have to have the, every 30 hours, it doesn't stop. It's just a room that stays open all the time. We'll have like a world for the Nachoverse, and people can come and go whenever they choose. And then we'll just kind of use it as a space to kind of teach people, from DeSo about the VR space and just like the cool thing about having the Quest 2 is like I imagine, when the metaverse thing drops, like this thing's gonna be a great recruiting tool for DeSo.
Absolutely, man.
Even like having the avatars from like the NFTs and DeSo as our avatars in VR chat, it's just more things that open up conversations that direct people back to DeSo. So I definitely want to, use that and tie it with everything we're doing over here. And then as far as music, I'm kind of like how I was saying with like the November, December, like I started to kind of feel it around like June. Um, it almost happens to me like every year. Like creatively, like my season is definitely like the springtime, which it makes sense even when you think about like the growth patterns of the world. Like, you know, springtime is new life and growth, and like that usually is the time that I get really creative. And then if I try to fight against this, like it never works out for me. And so usually I can
Yeah.
make music up until like the end of the summer, and then about that time I have to cut it off, and just performance and stuff like that I usually do throughout the fall and winter, and then right around like January I'll start waking up and come out of hibernation.
Well, it's perfect timing, Clay,
So
because you can handball the creativity down my side. Spring's just cranking up here, and it took a long
yep.
time getting started. Winter held on. So we'll keep the place cranking and warm while you go internal and enjoy the fire. Hey, before we keep
Yeah,
going, I
as
just
I
want to do
say,
a
I just
shout
have to
out.
go inside.
Yeah. Right. Oh, it's important, man. It's such an important thing that I think is so undervalued out in the world. Like even in workplaces, those downtimes that people need to consolidate, right? To digest
Yeah.
experience and the things, it creates efficiency. But to accountants and people that, you know, measure dollars, it's a very hard thing to measure, right? The power of that withdrawal, but it is so important. So, Clay, I just want to do a big shout out to, we got Zach Mead. He said, "What up, Clay Perry? What up, Mark?" on the YouTube chat there. So, hey, Zach, good to see you,
What's up,
brother.
Zach?
And also to our beloved Nirvana and Lisa Wildography, who are here with us live in the Zoom. So, again, anyone who's watching live, throw something in the chat, join us in the Zoom and help co-create the conversation. Any questions for this man, and we'll throw them at him. Awesome.
How's it going, Lisa? How's it going, Nirvana?
So, Clay,
Hey,
when I saw
Clay.
you, hey, there she is.
Yeah, well, you know, I saw the notification rather late, and I was like, oh my gosh, I better step in before, and not miss it. So yeah, pretty chuffed that you're doing this interview.
You're a superstar.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we appreciate it, really do. And we're working constantly on making, getting more, like getting it easier to find what's going on, events and things like that. Like, you know, it feels like it's going to take some time. You know, it's a bit like, like you were saying, Clay, that in the early Nacho days, it was so tight knit. It was like everyone came in, there was this fire burning, there was this chaos at hand, and it was like we were all bonded over that vision. It was like that instant trust, right? And that was pretty amazing. And now as it's growing and expanding, you know, everyone wants it to happen quickly. But, you know, we see what happens. It grows quickly. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, who are these people? We've got scammers. We've got good people, not so nice people. We've got all this blend suddenly. And like you were saying, Clay, we don't have that intimacy to be able to kind of like just trust straight away. So I think it's now having that patience, right? Of just allow it to take its time, and slowly we'll start weaving and stitching together all the bits and pieces. So, Clay, what I did want to talk to you about was the VR side, because that's something that I've been super keen on since I pretty much joined. Even beforehand, I had the like I mentioned on the comments of the HTC Pro, which yes, I can join VR chat with you. So, but I got that because I saw the beauty of what we were doing in Nacho Average. That was my dream of like, imagine where we can just be, joking around, see each other's body expressions, even to the point now where they're getting facial expressions. Yeah.
Well, that's the weird part too. Like, I had a realization about a week ago when me and Wendy were playing in VR chat that like we met virtually. We didn't meet with avatars. We met like this, but it's essentially the same. It's the step before it. It's like we're trapped in these boxes right now, and I can't move around and shake your hand and stuff like that. But like, essentially, we met. It's like, if we do end up getting married, and it's like someday we'd be looking at our grandkids, like explaining these stories, and it's like, yo, we met on the cusp of like this whole new space that's creating right now, and it's kind of neat how we didn't see it as that at first. I like the same way how when I came into the Nacho Average call, the call itself was just a community builder, but it at the same time, like really quickly, like, you know, it became so much more than just a community call. Turned into the Not Your Average House idea and all these different things of trying to build, you know, an incubator and community. And I don't know, like I really early on started to see, like we built like that. We got the account for Nachoverse and like started kind of like building out this idea of like our own metaverse. But at the same time, like when I was initially dreaming it up, like we were dreaming really big with it, and like the idea we had dreamed up was like really expensive. Like when I started trying to get quotes of like how much it was going to cost, like it was like it's going to take a lot of funding. And so finding VR chat,
Drugs.
yeah,
Sorry, brother.
hey, it's selling drugs might get us to the selling drugs might be the only way we can get the funding. But so we did VR chat, and it's so accessible. Like you don't even have to have a VR headset to use VR chat.
Yeah.
Like from what I've seen, like you can just access it on the computer. And so I think that that's going to be kind of like the starter kit to get a lot of people into the metaverse, get them into to VR chat, and just kind of get their head wrapped around what the space really is. I think anybody, like my mom the other day, when I told her I got the headset, she was like, "Oh, okay." Like she was kind of like, "It's like, oh, all right, whatever." And then I went over and I showed her the headset, and it just blew her fucking mind. Like she, excuse me, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss, but she was just mind blown. Like she for the next like 30 minutes to an hour was like, "Oh, there's a hot dog." Oh, like then she'd like walk up some, I don't like what it's like. I'd be like, "Mom, like you know they can hear you," and like it was just kind of blowing her mind the whole time.
That's awesome. Sorry, man. We just got a few Zoom bombers in the room. Alex, if we can sort that out if you get a chance, bro. But meanwhile, we'll stay on top. If we can, hang on a second. Just for you Zoom bombers, it's you really should find a more entertaining sport. It's getting a bit old these days. Anyway, back to the topic. It's one of those things. I think a lot of people haven't had that experience of VR yet. You know, they see it on TV, they see it on all these different things, but they just have, until you've put that headset on and you've gone into it. Like, you know, I've got the controllers where you can move your fingers, and you know your hands actually move according to your fingers in real life, right? And it's like it blew. That's when all of a sudden imagination cracks wide open, and that's something I've been so excited about with because, you know, we'd be in Not Your Average. And one of the challenges with a Zoom room in that sense is, you know, sometimes we'd have 30 people in there, right? And we've got Chet rocking the music out and everyone's just rocking out, having fun. And it's like one of those things where sometimes, you know, you've got all these little private chats going on in the chat, everyone connecting and the rest. But if we were in VR, you could have Chet up there on the decks up on you know, some amazing cliff, ripping songs, right? And then you and I, if we were like, hey, man, Clay, I want to have a chat with you, I could then take you in a VR space and we could go walk off to the side, still be part of the group, but now we can hear each other and enjoy the music, and other people can talk as well. You know, it just expands the potential of how much we can connect. So I'm excited about that for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Like even yesterday, I had the thought that if they really wanted to sell, I don't think they missed the train. Like I think like no matter what, even if it took like another 10 years, which I don't think it's going to take that long, but if it took 10 years, like this is going to happen. Like I don't see this as a like if like it's fully win. But at the same time, I kind of feel like they missed some opportunities in marketing through the pandemic. I think that like one thing you could sell, like even just the aspect of what me and Wendy just went through. If you sold dating as a use case for VR right now, dating in the pandemic, like there's so many people that just met through online. I meet people every day right now that when I would, you know, someone would ask me and Wendy would come up in conversation, they'd be like, oh, I just met, my husband that I've been with, for 2 years, we just met online. Or, we met 2 years ago online. And a lot of these people that I meet, it's all within like the past 2 years. And I keep noticing that, where I'm like, a lot of people, like, this was already becoming normal, but like, wait until we look back 10 years from now, a lot of people's story are going to be meeting online during the pandemic, because how anybody who's met anybody in the past 2 years, that's how they met, for the most part, unless they just somehow met them locally. And I don't know, like I think that they missed out on some of the marketing had they approached it from just the use case of, really just escaping loneliness more than anything. I mean, just making friends and building community. Yeah. I think that if they focus on those aspects, like that's the number one use case right now for VR, and it'll continue to grow. But I think a lot of people that have no idea what VR really is capable of would jump in today if they knew, how accessible the world becomes.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that the whole pandemic thing has accelerated rapidly, because I know I was a big proponent for VR for so many years, but one of the biggest challenges was always just making the tech available, right? And now we're starting to see the prices drop. We're starting to see more devices coming out. And with the pandemic, one thing I was looking at, Clay, just yesterday was an article here in Australia. And it was talking about how after the pandemic, so many people during the whole time of lockdowns, et cetera, a lot of people went and lived in regional areas, away from the suburbs and the cities, because they could take their well-paid jobs that they're now doing online and they can move out into these country places, which are a lot cheaper and more beautiful and more peaceful, and they can do everything online. And so when I saw that, it started getting, because they were saying that they're not coming back. Now that the lockdowns are backing off and everything's happening, they're not coming back over to the suburbs and the cities again. And so to me, that was a really good sign that it's like, great, because they are going to want to be involved deeper and deeper from a distance. So I think this is where we're going to continue seeing that VR and all that stuff. These people are going to want to play, and hopefully we just focus on more fun, Clay. Like with everything we do forwards. Yeah. So so that's awesome, and I'm definitely looking forward to jumping in, man, and playing in however we can support and run amok there online. Coming back to the platform. And in a way, this is the joy of DeSo, right? It's like people often forget that DeSo is a blockchain, but you can plug it in and connect it in a million ways to everything else, right? It's not all about bringing everyone to there. It's about bringing that to everyone. And so what are some of your favorite memories and favorite happenings that have from your time on DeSo?
Really, it's the call, man. Just like, it's so hard for me to like break them down into individual moments, because the call, like, especially like the way we were on the call, like we were on there like 24/7. So a lot of it ran together, and it's hard for me to remember. There's days where I look at Wendy and I'm like, were you there for that day? I'm like, and then she'll be like yesterday there was some day where we had like 50 people on there, and I was telling her about it, and then I was telling her as though she was there, and then she was like, I wasn't there for that, like that was first week. And I was like, oh crap. I'm like, I can't remember. So a lot, like really just the call, and like just seeing the impact that the call like had on the platform, and like how much it's meant to people. Even to today, like I got a text this morning saying, hey, Sean Slater posted this morning, shout out to Sean, but he was like, yo, I missed my friends. Like, I think the call was down for like an hour or two this morning. And he was like, yo, like, can you reset the call? Like, I miss my friends. Like, I don't know where they are. And it's like, yo, we're 8 months, almost like 9 months into this call, and we still get texts every morning. Like, if we're, down for even 5 minutes, I get people calling me, freaking out. And so it's, that's a blessing to see just how much that's meant to people. And then also just really just these meetups, and like getting to like travel. I've never been able to travel as much as I've traveled this year, and then just getting to meet all the new people and all the new experiences, getting really like I wanted to say this first, but I feel like it's cliche. But like Wendy, really, I mean, that's been the coolest experience for me on DeSo is just getting to meet her and work with her and like build Nacho, and then yeah, now we're just focused on. Oh wait, how do I get out of the way? Which way am I trying
to roll your chair out?
I keep,
Here, turn sideways. There you go. Now go backwards.
Yeah, like I keep going opposite. There we go. Yeah, the nacho heads. That's what our focus is now, is getting up.
So you want to talk about that? The nacho heads? Tell us what that is. Man, I'm so far behind. Like there is so much cool stuff happening on this platform that we're still learning about.
So the heads, I think we're like, I want to say like 15 or 16 in as far as how many we've minted. They're all going to be like avatars. It's kind of like the end all be all avatar for the Nachoverse. So like if you have a Nacho head, you can access any community inside the Nachoverse. Starting out, pretty much any avatar will have full access in the Nachoverse, but over time, we'll restrict access to only the Nacho heads as far as being able to enter any community. And then, say you have a Clout Punk and we have the Clout Punk community in there, then, a Clout Punk can get into the Clout Punk space, but he can't get into the Nacho head space. But a Nacho head can get into the Clout Punk space.
That's awesome, man. So one of the things I'm loving about this is I'm seeing this with the NFT things that are coming out and the way people are using them is it's a great way to bond together over a shared purpose, right? Because if people are investing in that NFT, they're saying, hey, I believe in your product. I believe in your offering to the community. And they're the kind of people you want to work together, right? So it's amazing how back in the old day, you used to have to offer paychecks and employ people and recruit and do all these things. Now it's like projects are being brought together over. It's like, hey, this is my vision. Do you like it? Then you buy in and we build it together. And so that's an awesome way of kind of decentralizing that, the community leaders are people that keep an eye on things. And that's fantastic. So where do people find that? Where are you minting those? On Nacho Average?
Yeah, on Nacho Average. We also have a Nacho Heads. So it's Nacho Heads with a Z. We have Nacho Heads and Nacho Average is where we're minting it. But
awesome.
Yeah, we'll come up with a cap because it's hard because we're trying to.
Yeah, there we go. You seem to be attracting the. You get the Zoom bombers in. They love you, Clay. They want some gangster action. Sorry, man. You were saying.
They'll get nothing but love here. The nachos, we don't really know exactly how many we're gonna mint, like as far as a cap yet. At some point we're gonna go to like generative, but yeah, like you were saying, I love the aspect of how you can like come up with an idea and then find people to believe in. Like for instance, like I used my turtles as an experiment for that. The 66 Shells project, I used that as an experiment to kind of test the idea that we're talking about. Because like the turtles I drew, I'm not an artist. Like I'm a hip hop artist, but I'm not I'm not professionally, like I don't paint like as a profession. And so I've always wanted to draw and I've always wanted to paint. And so watching Wendy get an iPad, like I went and got one and started drawing and painting, and I made these turtles. And at first I was just making them like bullshitting around, just practicing. And then I showed them to Nirvana, and Nirvana is instantly like, oh, when are these going to be minted? But I'm like, these aren't made to be NFTs. Like I was like, I'm not planning on selling these. I'm like, people would laugh me out of the room if I tried to sell these turtles. And so then like Lisa and like a couple other people told me I needed to sell the turtles. And so I was like, all right, let me come up with some ideas for them. And so I decided to use the use case that like eventually I'm going to make them into like turtle racing inside the Nachoverse. And so I was like, and the idea is like whether I draw them or I do like a generative project or I have another artist draw them, I'm going to like evolve these turtles. So what you're getting is like day one artistry, like, you know, this is the first thing I made, and it is made by me. It is made to, it will have use case, it will have, and so like all of a sudden I started looking at it, I'm like, yo, like, you know, some people aren't going to get it and some people will laugh me out of the room. I'm like, but there's going to be people also that buy into this on day one, and I'm going to try to find ways to reward those people for buying in early and just really just playing along with the experiment that I can evolve these turtles and show people that, like, look, you don't have to have the like full finished ready-made product today. You know, I sold those for like, I think 0.5 DeSo each, and I think we sold like 20 of them. Like, we didn't sell out, but we sold like 20 of them, and it was like $500 on an idea that didn't even exist yet, other than the frame, like literal bare basic framework. And it was like, but now I have the means to go out and actually start building this idea into something real, hiring a game developer and hiring, and so it's so attainable. I think the way to do it is you figure out the math before you sell it, where it's like, okay, to build this game out, it would take 50K. Okay, well then I need to sell 1,000 at 0.5 a piece, or whatever the, you know, it comes out to. And then you just add, you know, if you need profit to pay bills or whatever it is on top of that, like, work that in to your, you know, whatever it is that you need to build whatever it is that you're trying to build, like, just work that into your, you know, overall amount you'd make off the NFT, and you can build the project the next week.
Yeah.
Like, if you come,
absolutely,
especially right now, we're in such a Wild West phase. If you come with a good use case, like, yeah, I'll give that idea away later. But there's like instant money that can be made right now if you just, it's really just effort. It's not even about, it's, do you want it? And you just go out there and do it. Like, the use case right now, like, we're in such an unevolved time in the DeSo NFT space, especially, that any great idea gets major support.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't even have to have, you don't even absolutely have to have like a community built around it yet. The community will form around the good idea right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's what I'm saying is one of the most beautiful things after spending 40 years of my life waiting for this time, man. It's like where imagination actually is manifesting into reality. You no longer have to go to banks to apply for loans from these people in suits that are sitting there going, that is a stupid idea, or they're not able to see it, right? Yeah. You don't have to go get investors that are going to take over your idea, take all the magic out, and then just sell it off. And now it's a case of, if you've got a great idea, you build the framework. Like you say, the gold's everywhere. But you have to prove yourself still. This is equal opportunity, not equal outcome. All right. That's what I'm loving about what the platform's putting forward. Yeah, it's going to be a hustle. Yeah, you got to do the work, but the opportunity is real. And you're proving that, man. I love that. Now, I've got a couple of questions, and then
I feel like we're in a golden phase too.
Yeah. Finish what you're saying.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like we're in a golden phase too, though, right now, where it's kind of like this in general, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's probably the same in Australia, but like, I've heard this statement made by people before where, like, the amount of effort that has to be applied to like make ground in the world right now is like all-time low. Like, to stand out, there's never been a time, I feel like, at least in my lifetime, like, there's never been a time where a minimal amount of, like, opening the door for someone is an example. Like, when you're at work, being the guy that picks up all the trash off the ground, like, stupid, simple stuff. But like, so many people aren't willing to go any distance these days that if you're just move an inch, people think that you're, you know, this astute person that, you know, cares so much. And like, and that's where, if you really do care, you can make a ton of ground on people right now, because so many people are trying to cut corners and find the fastest way to make everything. If you truly care and put in time and effort into something, we're in a special phase right now where I don't know how much longer it'll last. I think maybe 5 years is like the cap of how long this phase we're in is going to last. Maybe 10 years at the most, but I wouldn't count on it. I think 3 to 5 years we're in this special window where if you put in a little bit of effort, imagine like how many people came into this DeSo space and didn't know anything about crypto at all.
Yeah.
And how little of effort it really has taken them in the past 6 months. Not saying they haven't put in a ton of effort, but even that ton of effort that they put in, it's only been 6 months. Literally.
Absolutely.
6 months is not that long. And it's like people have like learned a wealth of knowledge that could literally create generational wealth, for decades to come. And it took 6 months to learn all that. Whereas like compare that to someone going to a 4-year, 8-year university.
Yeah, right.
We're leaping people by leaps and bounds. I mean, it's and
literally quantum leaps.
Yeah, I think that people who aren't aware right now, like I guess I'm saying that to whoever is listening and just doesn't really get it yet. Like, it's just the time to learn, because 6 months or 3 months of knowledge that you gain right now will make up the next 40, 50 years of your life. Like,
yeah. And it's worth that little bit of sweat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my man, I'm just recognizing the time because I could sit and talk to you for hours. Man, this is why I do this podcast. It's like Alex and I, we get to just sit and finally catch up with all my favorite people on the platform and just keep meeting new favorite people on the platform. But being aware of the time, because I know everyone does have, especially coming into Christmas, we want to make sure we keep it relatively compact. Got a couple of questions for you. And then we got some questions that Alex has put together, but I'm not sure if his internet connection is going to hold up. So Alex, send me a PM if you still reckon you can't do those questions, and I'll do them. But otherwise, while you're doing that, we've got Jacob Schwartz. Normally we get the questions chucked in the chat, but Jacob, if you want to unmute and ask your question, as long as you're not a Zoom bomber. So Jacob, are you there still? What was your question about the turtles? Yeah, that's it. Oh, hang on. I need to unmute you. There you go. There you go. Jacob, you want to jump on and ask your question? Should just have a button there to click unmute. Let's see. There we go. All right, Jacob. No. All right. Looks like that was just noise coming through there, Jacob. So Lisa, we'll bring you on. Wildography. Lisa, just unmuting you if you want to bring your question on, my dear, for the amazing Clay.
Yeah, hi, Clay.
Lisa.
I've got a question about your turtle project. And I'm wondering whether you are going to get involved in the turtle breeding as well as the turtle racing.
I want to. I just haven't sat down and like thought it all out yet. But I have put some thought into it. As far as I know, I want to open up breeding. I think that once I do the next evolution of them, that's when I'm going to focus like heavily on breeding.
Yeah, because turtle breeding and the protection of turtles that are endangered, because a lot of their eggs, like you see people once a year on beaches helping turtles to go back to the sea and protecting their eggs, so that they can hatch and go back to the sea. It's big,
Yeah,
worldwide and everything, and that would, I think, garner a lot of support as an additional thing that you can do on top of the fun, turtle racing thing, which I think that's a lot of people are, when they hear that, they're pretty excited about that. And so I think it's something you probably should think about. And then the second question I've got is regarding the metaverse and music in the metaverse. I was on a Twitter space yesterday when they were doing some minting music NFTs on, and then they had like a 2-hour session there. And then after that, it was moved to Decentraland for the entertainment to go on. And then they had different artists. Everyone who minted their music on the day was a collective minting by musicians. And then they all performed, 2 songs each and everything. And it was just like out of this world. And I was just
That's
thinking,
awesome.
I'm like, oh my God, Clay Perry needs to, to do this actually. And we need something like that for DeSo, and we
I
can
need
do
to get my
events like
audio
that.
set up. I need to get my audio set up at home. Right now, I have a good audio setup for recording, but not as much for broadcasting. Like, really, all I need is like one of those iRigs.
Yeah.
And so I need to get an iRig so I can upgrade. Like, 'cause that's my biggest problem with doing music right now in any space, like whether it's Clubhouse, the metaverse, or anything like that, is I don't really have like a good way to direct my audio in. So once I like saying that, you're really making me realize like I need to just jump on that like this week and just get an iRig. But I definitely, that's one of the main things. Like, it's funny, like in the beginning, I don't want to get like too focused in on music as far as like a builder, because I know like long term, like I just kind of want to be involved in as many things as I can be. Like personally, I will always want to be focused personally on my music, but at the same time, as like a builder, it's different hats. And as like a builder, I don't want to be. I didn't want to make the music node. I wanted to make like a node for everyone. So I definitely want to build something in VR chat like early on. I imagine in like the first space, we'll have like some sort of stage or like club setup with like a dance floor, and then that way we can host concerts out of there and do even like the DeSo, just like DeSo native artists, like we there's so many things we can do with that. Even like my idea is like, it's hard to talk about today because I don't have it like built out yet, but I really want to like get it to a point where I can come to Clout Forum even and be like, hey, let's do these interviews with avatars and start hosting them over there. And then imagine every time you interview an NFT artist, they're coming on the show as one of their NFTs. I had even thought about like someone who's like like, this is taking it really far, but like you could even use the space to like shoot your own like TV shows and like your own like not even like talk shows. Like you could do like fictional like sitcom type shows where like you have avatars as the characters and like different people voice acting for those characters, and like but like imagine like an NFT show like that has different NFTs from DeSo, and like using that as a marketing tool, like coming up with an actual awesome show people want to watch, but using the DeSo NFTs as the core characters of that show. There's so many different ways you can like. I sit in the VR chat all day and just think about like, oh, we could use this for this. Like, there's so many things.
Yeah, it will be amazing. Today was the VR awards show. Today it was a 4-hour event that took place today, and I joined in very late, but it was really good. And Gabriel Sante gave us the link to join for those who were interested. So, yeah, I think. And I think you should even spearhead the metaverse for dummies, because there's been calls for that, and know that. So
you said spearheaded for what?
The metaverse for dummies. Like I don't know, natural average could be a good one to get. Like would be like a project to to teach people within DeSo and outside. How to get acquainted with the use of the metaverse for different use cases.
That's one thing that I really like about VR chat, is that it is accessible without a headset.
Yeah, you can use your computer as well. Instead of, if you don't have the headset, you can use, and sign in.
So that's kind of, we've had some pushback. Like I heard yesterday rumblings that people were disappointed like in the direction we were taking things. And I think for those people, one, it's all love. Like I appreciate the differing opinions, but at the same time, I think people are kind of short-sighted and not seeing the long-term game. That like pretty much, I don't know, I'm kind of the belief that like do everything with a purpose, but also don't take yourself too serious. Like nothing we're doing right now is that important. Like it's really important and also not that important at the same time. Like we can't like get high off our own supply. And like even like with Nacho being, you know, there's times where I'm sure right now if I log on Nacho, there's probably 5 people on there. Which I'm appreciative of every single member that, you know, hops on every day. But at the same time, it's like we can't take ourselves too serious. We don't have like 1 million users logging in every day. So it's like the demand. I think that's the beauty that people need. Instead of seeing it as like a negative, people need to see the beauty right now that like the demand is so low. And here soon, like it won't be that way. And you know, it's like you said, like the next few waves of people that come in, where we get the next scammers and the next, you know, nice people and the next mean people and all of these new people that are rolling in, it gets harder and harder to do stuff like this and to have these intimate spaces. And it's going to change really fast. And those who were sitting around complaining and worrying about stuff, like all that time can be put into building right now and getting prepared for that big ass rush that's going to come. So
beautiful. Hey, Clay, Lisa, I just want to say thank you for bringing those questions and those topics and that conversation, because that feels like a really nice way to actually bring this towards the end. We've just got, Alex has got a few last questions for you, Clay, some fun ones to nail through. But I think you summed up really well there, Clay. Is like we are in the Wild West times right now, and it's important to remember that in these early stages, it's our responsibility. This is radical self-responsibility. This is Burning Man, you know, kind of concepts here, where it's like it's up to us and how we create it. And like you say, Clay, hold it lightly. That how on earth can we work out the right way to do this when it's never been done before? We got to try. We got to play. And we got to see where the fun is. We got to see where the inspiration is and just keep on building and be ready to let things go when their time's done as well. All right, Clay. Alex, have you got some questions for this beautiful man?
For sure. Hey, Clay. It's always
how's it going, Alex?
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you, man. And it's always a joy to have you on the conversation. You're revealing a lot of interesting stuff that you have in your head. And it's a well-known fact that you are a fan of basketball, and the Nacho hat behind you says it as well. And my first question is going to be about it. What is your favorite NBA top shot or the most expensive one you've ever bought, and why?
My favorite one is the most expensive one I've ever bought. It's the Luka Doncic. I call it the Bank 3. But it's the buzzer beater from the playoffs. I guess it's crazy that it was still last year. But yeah, from like this time last year, Luka hit the buzzer beater on the Clippers, and I spent like $3,000, like $3,000 on that one.
Wow, cool, man. And what was your craziest deal you've ever done with NFTs or maybe NBA Top Shot as well?
Last year I sold a song to someone for their YouTube channel, and it was a really random deal. The guy he bought into NBA Top Shot like in November when it like just started, and then I think his account value, I think he put like $15,000 in, and like he had like at one point I think he had like 15 million. His account value was just insane. Like after like he had some like really, really good pulls, but he bought the song from me for 15,000. And that was definitely but it was like in NBA Top Shots. So like it was really wild. Like every 5 seconds I was like looking down and it'd be like, he just sent you this NBA Top Shot, and it was like worth 1,000, and then the next one would be worth like 800. And it's just like the whole time we didn't really come up with like a flat number as far as like what he was paying for the song, and he just started sending me NBA Top Shot. So it was kind of a ridiculous moment.
Yeah, I think this
definitely
is
a life.
Yeah, I think this moment was one of the most incredible experience in your life, I think.
Oh
right?
yeah, definitely.
Man, we all know that you are the founder of Nacho Average, which is a very just insane project that brought everyone together on DeSo in its early days, and the community here is just so active and incredible. And Nacho Average participants always shoot some live event for the community. Would you consider to shoot your wedding live for Nacho Average if you weren't married yet?
It's considered, like, we've joked about it. I don't know, like, I know, how do I word it? I feel like, so there's stuff that we're talking about right now, like doing, like, when that time comes, like we'll do something for Nacho. We don't really know exactly what it'll be yet. I know, like, there will be like an invitation extended, maybe not to the actual wedding, but to like some type of party or reception or something like that. Whenever we do that.
Awesome.
But
so there is such an idea in your mind.
Yeah, it's tough, because like being transparent, like it's tough with immigration and stuff like that. Like even in how you like word certain things and like intention, like straight up, like we've done everything the correct way, but I'm like nervous to word something wrong. And like if you're watching Border Patrol, hi.
I see. So man, as far as I know, you like baseball caps. Do you have the favorite one?
I usually have like 3 or 4 in like rotation, so like, which is usually just like my favorite teams. Like I guess like my Mavericks hat would probably be my favorite hat right now. But usually a Texas Ranger hat, really any of my favorite teams. Like.
And do you have an opportunity to visit their home games?
Oh yeah, we went. Me and Wendy, I took her to her first Mavs game 2 nights ago. Wow. So the Mavs won the other night. We got to go. It was, who did we play? The Denver Nuggets. So we got to see the giant from Serbia, actually, Nikola Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
So from your neck of the woods.
Did you eat nachos?
I did not eat nachos. I ate chicken strips. We did not eat nachos.
Man, and the most important question that we have, and everyone wants to know about it, what's happening with your haircut? It was long, now it's short. Will it be long again?
As of now, I'm digging the short is low maintenance. So Wendy wants me to go even shorter. So I might cut it even shorter. I don't know.
Awesome.
I kind of like it though. It's easy to. I can just wait. I woke up and in 2 minutes was ready. Like literally in 2 minutes, I was ready for Clout Forum. So I couldn't do that with my long hair. I feel like you would have been able to tell I just woke up.
Awesome, man. And the last piece for me: nachos or tacos?
Ooh, that you put me in a bad spot. Nachos. I'll say nachos.
Yeah, true. Patriotic way to end this conversation. So thank you so much, Clay. It was a real joy to get all answers honestly from you, and it's a pleasure. Mark?
Thank you so much, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. It is absolute pleasure, man. And Clay, again, thank you for taking the time. I know you've got a lot going on. The world does right now. You're doing so much for really helping build the community. And in the end, people ask, how can I help? What can I do? And it's like, build community, right?
Yep.
Connect. Just get to know each other. And this conversation right here is, I like to think that I know you pretty well from our time together, but it's amazing how little I actually know about what's going on the platform, even from those people I hold closest to me. So, and thanks for taking the time. Is there any last statements, anything you want to share with the community before we call it?
Not really. Just I think you nailed it, man. Like just build community. Just keep putting positivity out into the DeSo space and it'll keep returning back to you.
Absolutely. Well, Clay, man, I cannot wait until we're actually hanging out in person and I get to come. It's like, we've made so many lifelong friends on this platform and you're definitely there. So Clay, thank you again for everything. Oh, sorry.
This time next year, the goal is to be in Sydney. So I will be in Australia. Hopefully this time next year, I'll be in Australia. So.
Awesome, man. Well, then we'll definitely be catching up. I'll drive across the desert.
Hey, man, I want to come out there and see the kangaroos in your yard.
I'll talk you into coming over and staying down here. West Coast is where it's at.
Be awesome.
All right, fantastic. As always, pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Big shout out, Nirvana, Lisa, Wildography. Thanks for tuning in. We've had Nashawn Thomas. If you don't know Nashawn, he's an amazing drummer that's really contributing on the platform and another person I'm looking forward to spending more time with. We've had Zach Mead tuning in and many others. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time because it is the most precious thing we can gift each other. And with that, we'll see you in the next podcast. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.